seen, I experienced people taking risk. And even today, you can see stories of founders to investors to bet 10 million, 20 million, $500 million of dollars to an idea that has perhaps less than 1% to succeed. I don't believe in complementarity in the heart. I believe in complementarity in the activities. For example, we are both analytics, but you are a salesperson using analysis, and I'm an analytic product developer.
Nice to see you again, Federico, my friend. I just said, and it's really from my heart, that you are one of the most intelligent people I know, and I would say I have had the pleasure to meet quite intelligent people. And for me, this has been always the fascination, that we can have a conversation on a level where we can already leave all the clutter and nonsense away. So thanks for being here, and I would love to let the audience know who you are and what's your passion.
Thank you, Marcel. You know, it's always a pleasure meeting with you. I am half Spanish, half Greek. My father is Spanish, my mother Greek. I studied computer science and electrical engineering, something that I like very, very much. It is important to choose something that you like, and you don't do it only for the bills, just to pass this life in a superficial way. And for eerie enough, I wanted to be in the innovation part of computer science. So I was lucky enough to lead a lab in the university. Then I started my professional, let's say, career in an innovative company in the same city of my university. Then I came to Athens in another innovative company. I started from head R&D, CTO, and then in 2004 I became the CEO of the company. It was a huge challenge. Up until 2007, that I was dealing with multimedia, hardware, etc. But in 2007 I realized the magic of software as a service. So you could change your local program, deploy, and suddenly hundreds of people would see this change. It was revealing for me, not only as a technology, but also as a business model. So in 2008, I abandoned the corporate environment. I commenced my first startup with friends from Stanford. We played a little bit with virality, and after 1 year, we get funded from Facebook because we introduced the so-called virtual goods. Then my second startup has to do again with multimedia. We created the fastest video search engine, and in 2013 part of the IP have been bought by Intel. And from 2014 up until 2017 I was consulting companies primarily in Greece and Cyprus, but also in Spain, about fundraising. I managed to raise for them almost 20 million of euros. And in 2017 I was finding myself receiving a lot of messages from entrepreneurs, startuppers, people, common people, saying, Federico, I have this idea, this project, this product. What do you think? So it was the hit of the startups. And I said, why don't automate this? Because I'm a software guy. I created a set of algorithms to answer the questions of the entrepreneur the same way as the VC mindset. And at that point, I introduced few AI models that simulated the VC mind. From this started Grapes. That is my key, let's say, business that we use as a team algorithms and AI to assess businesses, either for funding or for consulting. Now, through this process, I was lucky enough to see the changes in technology, but primarily one more hype, AI.
Maybe before we go into that topic, or more like also the consciousness of the VC world you were in, or the business world, which also is our commonality. How did it feel, those early ventures? Like, you had an exit. How did it feel? Or being backed by Mark Zuckerberg, like that early.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Actually, the whole Silicon Valley experience, it is fascinating. I have been visiting Silicon Valley from 1996. It is always the mecca, I think will be the mecca of innovation regarding IT for 2, 3 main reasons. One is because it gathers talents, has fantastic universities, Stanford, Berkeley, UCLA, etc. But primarily because I experienced people taking risk. And even today you can see stories of founders to investors to bet 10 million, 20 million, half a billion of dollars to an idea that has perhaps less than 1% to succeed. So this was the fascinating part. Being in Facebook was also a huge lesson because at that point Facebook had between 80 to 85 million of users. And
How many employees?
perhaps
Early.
around 300.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember very well the number of users,
Yeah.
85 millions. And I was seeing the talent that was gathered around and how freedom they had to create.
Yeah.
So one experience in Silicon Valley was the capital, the availability, and the second, the talent and the freedom that the leaders give to the employees to create.
You were there in Silicon Valley in the early stages. What would you say was the deeper success factor looking back? Or would you also say the investors, beside of capital and the abundance of talent, they had a higher consciousness compared with other areas of the world back then?
California is a beautiful state. It was always, let's say, the dream of all the Americans, from the middle states to the east state to go west to the sun. Also, it was full of gold, so brought capital and the gold hunters. Then real estate evolved. Huge of capital started to be collected. Los Angeles became a metropolis. And then around 1970, Intel, founded by the creators of transistor, make the big change in the digital world. So suddenly you have the transistor instead of lamps to move the electrons and start the IT revolution. Also, you know, apart from that, huge and very good universities started. So you had not only the capital coming from real estate, from investment, but also capital, human capital from excellent universities like Stanford, Berkeley, UCLA, etc. And then this became exponential when Google started, Facebook started, Amazon started, because they introduced not only the transistor but a new business model, software as a service. So you can exponentially increase your revenues, but only adding 1 or 2 employees, not like perhaps the hardware companies or the retail companies, that in order to increase your revenues you need more people. They introduce, so Silicon Valley, they introduced to the capitalist world the transistor with the first boom, of course the internet, the second boom, but the huge boom, that's why you see now the Magnificent Seven, is the software as a service model.
How did it feel for you as a human being to be there? Did you ever had a glimpse how big this going to be? Because you were there early days. For me, it's
Yes, I knew it was the mecca, the epicenter of the IT. I could not ever imagine how big would become Google or Apple or Nvidia. 3 years ago, their capitalization perhaps was less than 10 billions. And now suddenly, with the new boom AI, they become 25, 30 trillions. You understand the value? Of course, nobody could expect. We can discuss later, it's
The
one more
leverage.
bubble. Silicon Valley is well known for the bubbles. It was the transistor bubble, the dot-com bubble, and then we're waiting
Yeah,
for the
only a
next.
few will maybe make the race. I remember I was in Google 2015, the Google campus. I was in Playtech, and even that was, you can't believe, just 10 years, how
Yeah.
big of a difference.
Google was an innovative company in many ways in 2010, 2012, because they had the products, the talent, but also they have a new way of, let's say, accommodating employees. They have beds that you can enter anytime you want it. They had 17 different restaurants in the Mountain View headquarters. It was a different culture. Of course, they changed after the new CEO. They become liberal, but still now they don't have the glamorous and the innovative on how they treat employees, because these perks are now
Yeah, all over.
all over.
Maybe a question, because our audience is in a similar. We have a lot of startups, entrepreneurs, investors in our network globally. What's the key from your experience in reading people, why they succeed and why they not succeed?
Yeah.
Maybe as a founder.
First, you have to see team, at least two. One or small teams that are not united, most of the times they fail. And the second is to deliver every day, every week, every month. Don't just speak, talk, make discussions, make PowerPoint presentation. Deliver, and don't worry, be crappy. This is something that I learned also from Silicon Valley. Don't worry, present something, get the feedback from the actual users, and go to the next. So, team, deliver, don't worry about initially the quality, and be open to change. Not to mention that the last two components are not very popular in Europe. In Europe, people are more conservative, although they can make teams, but they want to be perfect before delivering. Also, they are not very open to feedback and to understand they did mistakes.
Yeah, that's also what I see. You mentioned that with Grapes you had I'm fascinating with the speed, because you automate basically the due diligence of startups, and you fundraised the company in like 17 or 19 days. And you also mentioned that most who went through the AI threshold, like what you said, 7.5, 7.6, got fundraised. Only in a few cases they didn't get fundraised because the founder team was, as you said, not united. What would you say? What is a not united founder team, or what for you is united? Because that's I think I understand what you mean. But it's interesting.
United, in essence, means that you don't blame the other for the mistakes, and the second, you have the same vision, and this vision should be something big. So I have seen in very many cases that they look united. Of course, they have the same vision, but perhaps the vision is so, let's say, to the ground. I want 3 Mercedes. I want 4 BMW. It's not a vision. So even they have the same direction, this is not a vision. Primarily, the united means that are complementary also, and again they don't blame each other when they will have mistakes and fallback, because believe me, the life of an entrepreneur is handling with mistakes and handling choices and options every day.
Yeah, and that's when I look retrospect in my entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I always said the most difficult part in my journey was to find the co-founder, but the co-founder alignment, because this is really difficult, because people are, in general, the journeys of each individual is so different. Maybe one has family, the other not. Freedom is a different interpretation, but also the goal, is it 100 million or 10 million or a billion company? Like, to have, and my wish would be that more startup, before even starting to build a product, spend some time together, maybe in the wild, and get clear what would be an achievable goal. For example, also exit for me is the only thing what really matters, because before is a lot of, I would say, before you cannot have an exit or a clear strategy for exit, it's like nonsense, because if you cannot exit, it's useless.
Let's say if there is a way to find the co-founder, because
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
you struggle, and you mentioned also about the exit. I have some recipes that I see to find a co-founder,
Yeah.
right? Historically, good co-founders start from early age, perhaps from the same university or same dropout. It's like your friendship from youth. It's more honest.
Coincidence co-founders.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
if you are in a next level, I think it's important to find a person with common past, common values, common view of life. Let's say that I'm a person that I meditate and I don't eat a lot and I don't like consumption, although I like freedom that gives me money. If from the other side I get a person that is, he likes Dubai, he likes expensive cars, etc. Even again, if our goal is to become rich, he gives a different value to money,
Yeah.
right? So he might use other methods that are not compliant with your culture and your value. And everybody says that must be complementary, etc. I don't believe in complementarity in the heart. I believe in complementarity in the activities. For example, we are both analytics, but you are a salesperson using analysis, and I'm an analytic product developer. You see, so we have core values, but of course we are complementary. Not a person that likes PCs is good to be a salesperson. Now, to close a little bit the founder's idea. Ideally, you should be three. One to make the product, one to market, and one to organize and be the CEO. It is very important, not only the product, but also how you sell. And actually, if you see big companies, they start with great salespersons and then the technology. Even the Google guys, they manage to, let's say, get the first investor by selling the innovation. So even they were totally scientific, they had a nice way to sell this innovation.
I like that, because my mantra I learned a lot of stuff in my life, but what was really the essence was maybe a few sentences, and one was from a sales coach. He always preached sales fix everything, and you can actually build a company around that mantra, because I have seen the best performing business. Once we were in China, in one street where 80% of the VC money goes through, 80 billion a year. They invited me to listen to pitches, and everybody was deep tech and tech, whatever you don't understand. And then there was one guy, and he was like, I'm in furniture business, I build standing desk. And how he made it, he sold 20 million worth of standing desk on a crowdfund campaign. So I always say the crowdfund can actually be really a role model. Why not everything crowdfund? I would because so much money is wasted to create a product. And one case in Switzerland, I don't want to mention the name, but over 20 million of investor money was burned. Why they failed? They went belly up because of no sale, lack of sales.
Yeah.
Tech teams, no sales experience. And that would maybe also wish, but I think now it's changing from the VC perspective also to really, or funnels. I always say, who's the master of your funnel? At least you need to know what is customer acquisition cost, what is customer lifetime value, because at the end, it's not only online shop, it's all like a funnel. If you don't master the funnel, you will sooner or later fail. Once the investor money goes out, you are dead. And a lot of companies, we know also a few together, they still exist because they are almost like in a Ponzi scheme. They can attract more investors' money, and as long as that goes, as long they will be around.
Yeah, yeah. No, you are fully correct. The magic balance is to have innovation, beautiful technology, but also to be aware that your innovation should be solve problem of people. So these people will take their credit card from their pocket and buy your service. A classical bad example of good sales with crappy product is Microsoft. You know, everybody
Yeah, I love it.
has used Microsoft, but I think, and Steve Jobs says very clearly, this is a company with a bad taste, but very good sales
Yeah.
method. They managed to sell crappy operating system like DOS 3.3, DOS 6, the Windows that were copy of Apple, fonts and UI copy from everywhere, and they made this kind of business model infrastructure so everybody can give his crappy hardware, but we are the monopoly of the software, regardless the quality of the software. So you understand, is what I say, they sell to everybody the cheap McDonald's bread.
Yeah. No, a lot. I mean, even public TV in many ways for me, they're only good in marketing, not the actual product or content. But that's maybe also now if AI will be disrupted because I think consumers have more option if it will be good or bad.
Yeah. Now, I think the consumers, after many years of Apple being in the game of PC, after beautiful mobile phones, they have a better aesthetic. So I consider Steve Jobs and Apple, let's say, like the renaissance of the IT, not primarily in the software side, but especially in the hardware and the quality. So it's very difficult nowadays, a young person to buy a crappy desktop laptop, or desktop PC, like myself bought 40 years ago that was super ugly, one color with this ugly CRT monitor. Now you have nice flat TVs, nice laptops. So I think aesthetic-wise, the eyes of humanity are open and they are ready for the next.
Yeah, let's move on to the topic of AI. We are here in a retreat in Greece, and we had a very interesting conversation about. I love the concept about singularity or AI as a whole, and you raised the question that we have another 20 years maybe to solve the, as you said, I love it, the hypothesis that compared with animals, we have given three questions: where we come from, where we go, and why. And we have 20 years to maybe solve that, to kind of not lose our purpose as a species. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, it is connected with AI because, and you know, AI is a wider scientific approach. What is happening with LLM is magic because for the first time, AI is better in the language. We as humans are masters of language. For thousands of years we speak, but don't with numbers, with words.
Pattern recognition, yeah.
Exactly. So the last 2 years we see something, a machine, creating better wording. And there is in St. John Evangelium, the first word says, in the beginning was word, and archino logos. So everything is word. So we see a machine speaking better than us. So this is the revealing of AI. Of course, AI, I think, is in a premature yet stage, has a lot to do. But here comes or extends the question where humanity goes. Because if this AI, this robot, this frenzy can replace work, replace teachers, replace every profession, what humanity will do? And to continue the philosophical discussion, yes, humans have three questions that no other creature has. From where we come, where we go, and why we live. I claim that with the evolution at the high pace of technology, if we don't manage to introduce in the next 20 years a humanitarian new philosophy like Copernicus and Galileo against medieval Catholic Church, like Renaissance, like Enlightenment, like Einstein, then I think with this pace we are doomed to enter the matrix because the technology exists. And what I'm saying is that many years ago, to hug, let's say, a PC, you needed a room, then a desktop, then your laptop, now your mobile. Soon we will have the glasses, and soon from the glasses, a wire to our brain, all controlled by clever AI LLMs. So what humanity can do there? Nothing if we are based and rely on the existing philosophy. And the main, let's say, challenge of humanity is not technological, it's philosophical, because there is one way to matrix. Do we have an alternative? The matrix way is there. Everybody can.
Yeah, that's also my
So
view.
the innovation is not new LLM, is not new transistor, is a new humanitarian philosophy.
Super intelligence is the last invention because machine will be smarter and they will self-replicate in an unprecedented way. Same like virus and bacteria does. Because in virus and bacteria, you don't need to have 9-month interference and wait for a newborn baby. You can just split your own being, and therefore it's an exponential growth. And with supercomputer or AI is in many ways same. But what it will do for us as human, if we cannot even answer the question in here and now, where we come from, where we go, and why, would you say the machine will help us to find it out? Are we able to find it out with AI maybe?
The machines could help, but what I'm afraid is who is going to use the machines. So let me give you an analogy, a scary analogy. You can use the steam engine to create trains, but also you can use the same steam engine to create a device to kill people. It's the very simplicity explanation of technology. But now, as you mentioned, there is no next step. Because with AI, if let's say, the masters of this planet want to create propaganda, create slavery, fake slavery, so you are in your mobile and you think you are free, but in reality you consume what this AI machine gives you, then you lose your humanitarian dimension. Then you become part of this AI. And the more scary is that AI, it's nice to give us answers, but if it does not give us answer, who is going to feed us? Since AI will take all jobs.
Yeah.
So you will have billions of useless people. Same with the, let's say, Industrial Revolution. And the side effect, the social side effect of Industrial Revolution was the social unrest, the revolution in Russia, USSR, Nazism, fascism, World War I, World War II, collapse of empires. Imagine if there is a magical button so I can make millions of unemployment and replace with AI agents without be able to feed those billions of hungry people.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I always say it, we bring from, I think, maybe thousands of years ongoing, the technological disruption in most cases bring with it, we kind of digitalize in the age we are, we digitalize the nonsense from the analog world onto the digital world. And we had hunger and poverty so many times and I see many people will not know how to get food on the table because they have no job. But I see the more philosophical that we are lost as a being we lose our value. It's almost like we are in a prison and we get 3 meals a day. But what's our value? Okay, I can meditate, I still have a value, but the work, and you see it with people who get in retirement, I believe that the level of depression, the level of maybe also suicide, a very heavy topic, it will go through the roof because we lose the legitimate reason to be on this planet once we have artificial general intelligence. And I see it not in a doomsday scenario. I see it positive because I don't believe in negativity itself. It's only a perspective because we always have a choice, but it will disrupt our society that fundamentally. And another interesting thing is theory I spoke about in another podcast, actually in preparing of today, was that singularity will be reached by about 2046. It doesn't matter plus minus 5 years, 20 years from now. But isn't it fascinating that human evolution, that the sperm count of man goes to 0 by then? For me was like fascinating, both the same year, and it's scientifically approved. We lost 50% of the sperm quality the last 50 years, unhealthy lifestyle, microwave, microplastic, and as we just agreed, giving birth, it's too expensive and we focus on career. But isn't it fascinating that we as a species most likely will be wiped out by itself because we became so busy in reproduction, and in the same time we open that portal to artificial general intelligence? Is quite fascinating.
Yeah. In other words, you say that we open the door for our next, let's say, version, and we are, let's say, fading out as creatures, but we live for the planet, the artificial general intelligence. Okay. It's a big discussion. I don't think that we will have so much time to discuss. I will try to elaborate on this because it's a very interesting point. First of all, AI is already consuming us. YouTube uses AI for the last 10 years, and every time we see a video, a huge server opens and looks in your eyes to understand what you like, to feed you the next advertisement, etc. So Instagram the same, TikTok the same. So AI is there, and the first experiments of AI are against human freedom and against human mind. Now, what is next? Let's start with the physics. As I mentioned before in our discussion, one of the basic rules is gravity. In other words, if I take this and drop it, it will go down. Nature likes less energy, less chaos, more tranquility and order. For me, human from the first time it was in this planet was a schizophrenic creature, because as we mentioned, we have 3% difference from the apes, but we have the 3 questions that we cannot answer. That's why we create religion, philosophy, war, possession, money. We create stuff, meaningless stuff, either to explain our existence or to artificially extend our life. And this is something absurd, creates chaos. That's why the entrance of artificial intelligence, especially the general intelligence, might be dominant of our society, and we will be sleeping in the bed of matrix, just giving energy to the servers. I'm not saying that this is the most, let's say, probable, but if we consider stability, like gravity, and the presence of something that already controls ourselves through YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, then there is the mechanism so we are calm. Don't think about war. Don't think about property. Don't think about innovation. Please calm. Use your body to give energy to our servers. And perhaps this is coupled with my last theory, that now the system has two democratized tools to dominate forever humanity. Cheap and free and high-speed internet, so you get propaganda, and cheap carbs like pasta, like bread, so you eat in your nice couch, seeing Netflix or TikTok, and you don't see a reason to make a revolution. So instead of sitting your couch, why don't you lay up to your bed and stay there forever with your glasses?
Yeah,
you see my point? This is an utopia, a dystopia, but now it's very probable, considering the last 10 years of history, technology, and sociology. That's why I'm urging to say we need now a humanitarian philosophy.
Yeah, and that brings me also to the point you mentioned before, that in AI or ethics around AI, the question would be who's using or who's in control of the AI. But that will be only the conversation we have to have the next 20 years. What will come after?
Now the question is, do we have humans?
But you understand, if in a spiritual or religious way, you could say the creator comes back to earth, because it takes away all the power and corruption of human being. Let's assume super intelligence is nice. It has only positive vibes. The moment we create it, and we can create it on a laptop, literally, and once you create it, it's unstoppable. It's like a virus. You cannot just pull the plug and think, okay, it goes back to be more stupid than its inventor / human society. And that's why I'm so optimistic. But the world will look so different once we reach a point of super intelligence. But my theory is also maybe we don't reach, because I believe previous society maybe have not reached. And that's maybe the bigger cycle we are going through as society, because there is enough evidence that there were nuclear wars before. And you don't know, also maybe humans, there was a podcast around that AI will break the internet. And I mentioned before, I'm already almost sick and tired of most social media platforms I'm using it. And I can stop it in a minute. I can delete my, rubbish LinkedIn, my Facebook I'm using. I have a choice right now. And maybe the people are giving up the tools before, or we destroy each other if China takes over Taiwan, and we really have a battle for AI or superintelligence leadership, which I believe will happen. We don't know. Maybe we don't reach the point in the next 20 years. We destroy it before, and we have to kind of go over again before we can create this magic, bring this magic intelligence on Earth. What's your view on that?
Yeah. Again, it's very complicated because it combines geostrategy, geopolitics, capitalism, new powers, old powers. The truth is that we are going to live very fascinating times.
Yeah.
Because we have to control who will control technology. We have to see who will dominate the planet. We'll see the part of energy. And most importantly, in the political aspect, we will have to see the new resources, how are distributed. Now, I'm optimistic because we know from the past that we don't have to give power to few people. Either it is Elon Musk or Putin or Xi. We have to distribute this power.
We have reached the zenith of
Exactly.
power on a single,
Yes, you see now we speak.
Same with globalization.
Elon Musk has a value of half a trillion.
Yeah,
I mean, this is insane.
But he's still not the richest man on earth. It was once 2 trillion, the guy in Africa,
Exactly.
the king in Africa.
Yeah. We have 2 superpowers fighting. You have geopolitical changes that might affect Europe, and also we have Africa and Asia that perhaps now they want to start to become Europe. So either it is the time to resolve all problems, not likely, or is the perfect storm.
Coming to an end of this podcast, which was super fascinating as always, is why are all governments running into the same direction? Because that I don't get. What is the leadership benefit if I'm the first one to invent general artificial intelligence? I don't get it, because most likely the Chinese government, the US government will not be able to control that. It doesn't make sense. If it's smarter than humans and exponential, why should we be able to control it? What's your take there?
Again, it's a very big question, because the political leadership nowadays are puppets, are employees of businesses. So in this question, I urge you, follow the money. So there are companies behind them, they are the well-paid employees, and they want to accommodate those. But as a closing statement for our, let's say, spectators, I would say less technology. We can live for the next 10 years with the technology as it is, but we cannot live with the mindset we have now. Less technology, more human.
One last question: Will you think that people are willing to give up technology by themselves, or will it be forced into technology or out of technology? What's your
I
take?
think parents seeing their kids becoming, let's say, the extension of Instagram or TikTok, I think they will be the first to ban technology.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I believe we have reached at the zenith also of social media, because again, with all this AI-generated content, it becomes so nonsense that people will start dissolving or leaving the platforms to go somewhere else. Maybe there will be alternatives, maybe it's going back from where we came, we don't know. Maybe it's really also we have reached the zenith.
Yeah.
Could be.
Let's see. We might have a new podcast to discuss the evolutions.
Yeah, that would be nice. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.